Why small pupil is a risk factor for phacoemulsification, and can vertical chop technique helps the cataract removal in small to moderate dilated pupil? Let's see this case of phacoemulsification in moderate dilated pupil. In this case, the pupil diameter is about 4 millimeters in diameter. So it's very important to do viscodilatation before starting the rexes. But how can we do that? Don't fill the AC with the dispersive OVD, just inject the dispersive OVD at the level of the pupil border, then you can push it and dilate it, and you can continue your rexes as usual. You can see here the rex is about 4.5 to 5 millimeters. Now you can see that hydrodissection. I can't see the edge of the rexes. You can push the iris and inject the BSS until to see the wave. At this step you can see how the pupil is constricting. Now the pupil is about 3 millimeters. You can see the density of this type of cataract. Now also we can repeat the viscodilatation, also viscodissection to lift the cortex and the epinucleus away from the nucleus. You can see the nucleus now, and you can using the secondary instrument to rotate the nucleus to be sure that your nucleus is free and your hydrodissection is excellent. Now using a sharp pointed chopper for vertical chop technique, with bevel up or bevel down, shaping the cortex, and you can chop this nucleus into halves. After chopping this nucleus into halves, you can chop each half into smaller pieces, as you see. By the end you can see the nucleus is chopped into smaller pieces. It's like pieces of pie by the end of the chopping. Small pupil is a risk factor for phacoemulsification because it can lead to a dangerous complication like posterior rupture of the capsule, posterior capsular rupture, vitreous loss, anterior capsular tear, irregular shape of the pupil by the end of the surgery, severe inflammation. While removing this dense cataract through this pupil, you can do viscodilatation many times by injecting the OVD, dispersive one, also that can protect the endothelium of the cornea while removing this dense cataract. Now after chopping the nucleus by the sharp pointed chopper, you can change to another more safer chopper with a blunt end. You can see here my chopper, there is ball by the end of this chopper. You can continue emulsifying these pieces. Hold each pieces and lift it up at the level of the pupil and emulsify just supranuclear, which is a safe place for emulsification as it away from the endothelium of the cornea and from the posterior capsule. You can see now the pupil, it's about 2.5 to 3 millimeters in diameter. Now emulsifying was done perfectly. You can see the pupil now, it's about 2.5 millimeters. Now the time for cortex removal. Also, this is very important step. You have to be careful while removing the cortex through the small pupil. Don't hold the capsule. You can form the antechamber and the capsular bag and go by the aspiration probe to hold the cortex, then peel it, then aspirate it at the center of the pupil. You can use the irrigation probe to push the iris away to see the cortex, to hold it and aspirate it with the aspiration probe. As you see, you can hold the cortex and peel it and aspirate at the center of the pupil. You can see now the pupil diameter, it's about 2.5 millimeter. And now the time for implanting the IOL. After injecting the cohesive OVD, forming the capsular bag and inserting the single piece hydrophobic IOL, then washing the OVD anterior and posterior the IOL. It's also important to remove all the OVD to avoid any spikes of IOP. By the end of the surgery or during the follow-up, now you can see the pupil. It's about 2.5 millimeter or 2 millimeters in diameter. You can see the hydration of the side port and the main incision. The surgery went very good with this vertical chop technique. You can see there is no leak, and thank you for watching this video.